Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Monday edition, Thanksgiving week of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you want to call the show. I am expecting Robert Webb sometime today. Haven't heard from him over the weekend. And so if not, it'll just be you and I. Also, we are expecting to have a guest today, Roderick Talley. We'll talk to him. He's running for District 34. We'll try to get an idea of what makes him think that he can get the job done in that particular position. Also tonight at the Willie Hinton Center, they are having a candidate forum for District 34. I'm planning to be there tonight as well to check it out. All four of the candidates, the Democratic candidates, will be there. By the way, if you don't know, that is the seat that was vacated once the late, great John Walker passed away. I guess it's been about 2 weeks now. So everybody is jockeying for positioning for that particular seat. So we'll keep you posted on that, and I'll give you an update tomorrow. Let me tell you what the schedule is for this week, it being Thanksgiving. We will be here tomorrow, and then for the rest of the week, we'll be out. Have not decided whether or not I will be doing the weekly sports magazine on Saturday morning. In all likelihood, I'll be honest, I probably will not. My son is in town. I've got a lot of family in town, bringing my new daughter-in-law, Sonetta Coleman. Looking forward to meeting her for the first time. Obviously, I've spoken with her, but have not had an opportunity to meet her personally. And of course, we will be traveling next month to Memphis for a big, huge reception with my son and her side of the family, my side of the family, and the ex-wife side of the family. So that ought to be interesting. Why am I laughing? I don't know. But looking forward to that as well. So that's the schedule. So we will not be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we'll resume next Monday, okay? So that's kind of how that's going to go. I've got a lot of stuff I'm going to be doing. In fact, I'm making homemade rolls tonight. Want to remind people there will, and I'll be announcing it tomorrow, there will be a Black Friday sale for Coleman's Dynamic Coleman's Dynamic products. So it'll be in a gift box. You'll probably be able to pick between 5 to 7 items, and it will be a set price. And I will have the commercial up and running tomorrow on Facebook. And you can call me. I'll deliver. There will be a delivery fee now, I will tell you. Or you can meet me and come pick it up. But this is a nice little gift box. And we have a limited supply. So, hey, I'm just letting you know that it's going to be there, and it is only going to be for the weekend. The sale will start Thursday afternoon, and it will go through Sunday. So we want to sell as many gift boxes as we can during that time period. And I tell you, it's a $50 value. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you $20 off. Okay? So it'll be $30 plus shipping and handling and things of that nature. So I'm letting you know right now, this is a good deal. So I'll give you more information on that. But I'll be doing a lot of cooking this weekend. Of course, my son calls me yesterday, and he's giving me orders for my new daughter-in-law. Okay. See, my new daughter-in-law doesn't understand who her daddy-in-law is. Okay. She doesn't understand that I'm a master in the culinary world. At least I like to think so, and most people think I'm pretty good too. So, and I was laughing at him because I remember back when he was a freshman in college, he brought a young lady. We were living in Nashville, and he brought a young lady home, and she didn't think I could cook. And before she left, she ended up saying it's better than her grandmother's. And she ended up taking plates So looking forward to that. So I'll keep you posted and all this stuff. By the way, I am making key lime pies. If you want a key lime pie, hit me up. I can make you one. I'm making what? Man, I'm making key lime pies. I'm making sweet potato pies. I'm making sweet potato pecan pies, which are my favorite. Let's see what else. In fact, I'm making one, and then I'm making homemade rolls as well, and then I'll probably end up making some cinnamon rolls as well. So a lot of stuff I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be busy. Also, I'm jerking a turkey. I'm one of those non-traditional people. Although I think last Thanksgiving we had Cornish game hens with rice pilaf and I want to say an apricot glaze. Yeah, I think that's what we had. So, but this year, since my son wants turkeys, he wants a turkey. I'm going to jerk a turkey. And I'm using my jerk seasoning that I'm going to launch with my product. It'll be called Coleman's Dynamic Rib Jerk. So that's coming up. So I'm going to test it out on my family on Thursday. So that ought to be fun as well. Yeah, it'll be a little heat, but there'll be some pieces where it won't be too hot. So that's some of the things that we're going to be doing this weekend, this week. So I'm really excited. Fun weekend. But anyway, we'll talk about all that stuff later on. Let's go ahead and jump into Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
Wow. Got tons and tons of Black Facts today. And not sure where I want to go, but I tell you, there's one that I am going to do. Let's see here. I want to do that one. Oh yeah, we'll do that one because the Casual Killing Act of 1669. Are you all familiar with that? The Casual Killing Act of 1669. You know, it is my thoughts that part of the reason that they don't teach history the way it should be taught is because they don't really want you to know just how evil they were. Okay? So I have two Black Facts today. One is about African inventions and innovations that changed the world forever. And then the Casual Killing Act of 1669. These 10 African inventions and innovations shielded from the world due to European propaganda have changed the world in phenomenal and extraordinary ways. The history of defining African inventions and innovations has never been told enough to the world. There is always a prevailing narrative that Europeans were the only purveyors of science, medicine, art, philosophy, and travel. But we know, because if you've listened to Black Focus, we know that that's not true. But throughout the course of history, what's up, Robert? Hey, Dwight, how y'all doing? Thanks for joining. Throughout the course of history, there is evidence strongly suggesting that most of the technological advancements present today have their original roots in Africa. Propaganda has worked to the effect of eroding Africa's relevance in contributing to the developments of human civilization as a collective. Africa is replete with the excellence of a people that would determine on making life better. Here's the first one, navigation. The information that is common to almost everyone is that navigation was started by the Europeans, and yet it was Africans who started sailing. Take, for instance, the fact that Christopher Columbus' voyages led to the discovery of the Americas. Evidence shows Africans sailing and settling in the Americas were black Egyptians led by King Ramesses III during the 19th dynasty in 1292 BC. In fact, in 445 BC, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh's great seafaring and navigational skills. Egyptian artifacts have been found across North America. Of course, we've told you the story of the King of Mali, right? Number 2, architecture and engineering. Some of the structures in Africa simply go beyond the comprehension of the feeble mind. They speak volumes of precision, pure work of genius minds, and sophistication. One can easily make mention of the Sudan and Egyptian pyramids that are now a glorious reminder of the best empires to ever grace the face of the earth, with the pyramids still intact up to now. And make mention of Timbuktu, a once thriving city in Mali, with buildings bearing marks of sheer architectural brilliance. Number 3, mathematics. This equally feared and respected field in education has solid origins in Africa. You cannot talk of mathematics without including the name Africa. The oldest mathematical artifact, the Libombo bone, was found in Swaziland. It is described as the oldest known mathematical artifact. It dates from 35,000 BC and consists of 29 distinct notches that were deliberately cut into a baboon's fibula. And also, over 35,000 years ago, ancient Egyptians took the task of scripting mathematics textbooks inundated with information on division and multiplication of fractions and geometric formulas to calculate the area and volume of shapes. Number 4 is medicine. By the way, if you're just joining me, we're talking about 10 African inventions that changed the world forever. Number 4, when it comes to developing a systematic culture of medicine, that credit can only be afforded to Africa. Ancient Egyptians created an orderly way with which to administer treatments and surgery. They had the ability to record and progress they had the ability to record the progress they did in medicine. The earliest known surgery was performed in ancient Egypt around 2750 BC. These were some of the procedures that they were proficient at: mending broken bones, dealing with maladies of the digestive, nervous, and cardiovascular systems, vaccinations, autopsy, limb traction, and broken bone setting, bullet removal, brain surgery, skin grafting, filling the dental cavities, installation of false teeth, anesthesia, and tissue cauterization. The first cesarean section, recorded in modern medical history, was first performed in Uganda in 1884, long before it became popular in Europe and across the world. Metallurgy and tools. The foundation of metallurgy and tool making can never be divorced from Africa. The ground from what came later: steam engines, copper and iron tools, carbon steel and bronze weapons of art, was laid in Africa. Iron smelting in Africa started about 2,500 years at the time when much of the world was not acquainted with such. It also led to the maximum utilization of mining. So, in essence, metallurgy and tool making also meant Africa was leaps ahead in terms of mining developments. International trade. Number 6. What was the world as we know it today without the fundamental aspects? International trade is essential, the essential backbone of what makes the world one global village. It is striking how this aspect is referenced to Africa only in passing. The first major trade route was developed between Africa and Asia. Number 7, the calendar. The concept of dates originated in Africa. Ancient Africans had mastered astronomy at its advanced stages for that time, and as such, they had learned how to present the movements of the earth, sun, moon, and stars into an organized system. The earliest evidence of this is attributed to the structure in southern Africa consisting of stone circles called the Adam's apple. The stone structures are precisely assembled in what appears to be an astronomical calendar. Scholars have debated much on this, but they agree it is at least 75,000 years old. Number 8, astronomy. The mastery of astronomy gave rise to the birth of the calendar system. With the ancient Egyptians, they charted the movement of the sun and constellations and the cycles of the moon and divided the year into 12 parts and developed a year-long calendar system containing 365 and 1/4 days. The Dogon people of Mali, there's that country again, were also conversant with astronomical knowledge. It is said that they knew of Saturn's rings, Jupiter's moons, the spiral structure of the Milky Way, and the orbit of the Sirius star system. Number 9 is law and religion. The idea that Africa has to thank Europe for these concepts is so vital to human existence is warped. Ancient Ethiopians were among the first in Africa to honor their gods and offering sacrifices. It was also the first country to have established law that everyone adheres to. Now that thing about religion, remember what are the main 2 countries listed in the Bible? Egypt and Ethiopia. Where are they? In Africa. Hello? Number 10 is art. Not much of African art has been spread and glorified to the world. Perhaps this explains why former European colonizers were very adamant when it comes to returning stolen cultural and historic artifacts adorning their museums and galleries. So those are 10 things, 10 African inventions and innovations that was given to the world, yet we get little credit for. This is why you must do your history. This is stuff you ought to be teaching your children. You know, when I would do my rites of passage camps, you know, one of the things I would always ask the young men, we would have anywhere from 30 to 50 young men, and I would always ask them, I'd say, hey, how many of you all like math? And 1 or 2 of them would raise their hand. Well, why don't you like math? It's hard. We don't do math. You hear stuff like that, which is ridiculous. And then I would tell them, how is it that you can't do math when it was your ancestors who created it? And then they begin to realize that, yeah, we can do math. You know, I always tell them, look, if you can stand on the corner, because it's fascinating to me how drug dealers don't realize that they're running a business. For whatever reasons, it doesn't take shape in their mind. But if you can stand on the corner and you got 5 other people on 5 other corners, and you know how much money that they should be making, how much the split should be in your head, you can do math. But see, you've been taught or you've been brainwashed to believe that black people don't do math. Look, anything that we created, we ought to be able to do. Okay? I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. This is an extended Black Facts today, because I do want to talk about the Casual Killing Act of 1669. What it did was it made it legal to kill a slave at will. What escapes many people is that the whimsical killing of enslaved blacks in the U.S. during slavery and even after by white folks without punitive consequence is based on laws passed by white politicians who happen to be plantation owners. One of these devious laws is the Casual Killing Act of 1669, which declared it legal to kill a slave while correcting because malice could not be presumed. The casual killing of slaves says that if a slave dies while resisting his master, the act will not be presumed to have occurred with the pretense of malice. The men of the General Assembly of Virginia completely removed the penalty for those who by chance murdered a slave in the process of punishment, as the black laborer was deemed to be property. Other slave laws passed in Virginia showed the disregard for human life and how different chattel slavery in the U.S. was to other forms of slavery practiced on the continent of Africa. You see, and let me stop here because that's why when you hear me refer to slavery often, you hear me call it the peculiar institution of slavery. And you will find that there are a lot of scholars who call it the peculiar institution of slavery. Because the way slavery was practiced in America was totally different from the way it was practiced around the world, which many deemed it peculiar. By 1672, it became legal to wound or kill an enslaved person who resists arrest. Hello? Let me read that again. We're in 2019. In 1672, it became legal to wound or kill an enslaved person who resisted arrest. Legislators also deemed that the owner of any slave killed as he resisted arrest will receive financial compensation for the loss of an enslaved laborer. Legislators also offer a reward to Indians who captured escaped slaves and returned them to justice of the peace. Earlier in 1639 and 40, the General Assembly of Virginia specifically excludes blacks from the requirement of possessing arms, and crucially, in 1662, blacks faced the possibility of life servitude. The General Assembly of Virginia decided that any child born to an enslaved woman would also be a slave. Free black women, like enslaved females over the age of 16, were deemed tithable. The General Assembly said freedom does not exempt black women from taxation. In 1691, any white person married to a black or mulatto is banished, and a systematic part is established to capture outlying slaves. So the point I'm trying to make to you all is that some of the same things that were going on then is going on now. Aren't police killing black men and women indiscriminately, and are they facing punishment? No. See, this is why I do Black Facts. And this is why it's important for us to understand what this country is all about and what it has said and done to us and continues to do to us. Because, see, there are a lot of black people out there right now who still believe that you're free. That's why I read that to you. Because the same things that they were doing in the 1600s, where they were killing black people and not being punished, they're still doing that today. They're still doing that today. And that's our Black Facts for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Our history, our culture, and radio.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, give me a call at 615-554-0568, and I'll hook you up with a nice package to sponsor it for sure. We've got a lot of stuff that we can talk about as it relates to that sponsorship, so make sure you holler at me. Excuse me, I'm kind of losing my voice. Sorry about that. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, as I said earlier, there's a forum going on at Willie Hinton tonight, and what we're doing here at Joint Ed Radio, we are introducing all of you to all of the potential candidates for District 34. We had Joyce Springer, we had Ryan Davis. Today we have Roderick Talley, and we'll get the others on, and ultimately we plan to have a debate here, or at least a forum here on Joint Ed Radio, if we can work out all of the logistics. So you stay tuned. Coming up here after the break, we'll talk to Roderick Talley. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices, right here on jointedradio.com. How's it going, man? Yeah, I don't know who that is. Hey, just working, man. Try to make things happen. That's about it.
The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of a life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
All right, welcome back to the show. Dave Coleman in the house. Hadn't heard from Robert Webb. He's probably somewhere on a golf course somewhere in the heat. Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. I want to remind you that tomorrow on the show, we're supposed to have Mike Poore, the superintendent of the Little Rock schools. Yeah, that ought to be an interesting show, to say the least. So we're expecting him tomorrow, and then Wednesday we're out, and the rest of the week, and we'll be back next Monday, of course, to keep you up to date on what's going on. Also, want to remind you about the Candidates Forum that's taking place tonight. I guess I need to just say this. You need to get involved, because y'all do know Sarah Huckabee Sanders is planning to run for governor of Arkansas. And if y'all let this woman win in Arkansas, we get what we deserve. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. But anyway, before we get into all of that, let's welcome our guest today. Roderick Talley has been on the show before, of course, and we've talked about a lot of things. And Roderick, welcome to the show.
Morning, afternoon, rather. Good afternoon.
So how have you been?
Great. Awakened, but great.
So what have you been doing since the last time you were on the show? I think you were running with it for District
36.
36
Yes,
then,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So what's been in the life of Roderick Talley since our last visit?
A great awakening. Last time I was running, I was fighting for a lot of things. I'm still fighting for a lot of things, but not so much as being so vocal, because a lot of times with being vocal, you don't actually get the results that you want, as opposed to going about it a legal route. And so I've taken a great liking into reading the Constitution and filing. Today I'm headed there when I leave here, but Arkansas is the only state in the South that allows you to amend the Constitution by way of an initiative petition. And so I've been researching and working, and got quite a few initiative petitions I want to file. I filed one last week to restore the voting rights to felons that aren't incarcerated. And there are 3 more that I've worked on. One is to basically end free labor in the prison system here in Arkansas, to end state tax and income taxes, and to create basically a recall. So, as it stands now, governors and state officers and people of the General Assembly, judges and prosecutors, we elect them, but we can't take them out of office. So I made an amendment to the Constitution that would allow the same voters that vote them in would be allowed to vote them out also, with certain stipulations to it as it applies. I mean, I think it's 51% when you're running for election for a position that they have to vote you in when it comes to the state reps. So by that same way, they would be able to be voted out. You have to get a petition, obviously, to with 51% of the people that voted for that person, and then you have that option to recall them from their seat also. So just working on a lot, trying to change it from that route as opposed to hoping that people in office do it, because I realize, like, if this has always been an option, why come they never went about doing this, as opposed to being one of few in office and hoping that a Republican-led General Assembly is going to allow any Democrats to make any change, as opposed to them saying they want to make a change.
You previously, as we stated, ran for District 36.
Yes, sir.
You're now running for 34.
Yes, sir.
What do you say to people who say Roderick Talley can't make up his mind on what he wants to do?
Roderick Talley just wants to be able to be a fighter for the people. I've had to, due to circumstances, had to live in quite a few places, and people that opened their homes to me, that I was able to stay at throughout the duration of me being back in Little Rock. Like when I left in 2017, and came back in 18, like the beginning of 18, I was allowed by people that I had helped with their cases, allowed to stay at their residence, because when I came back, I didn't have a place to go. And so when the option opened up in 36, I was living at a friend's house at 36, which I'm still available. They still had that house open to me. And then in District 34, I lived there literally before I moved to the house that the police raided. I lived in District 34 for about 5-6 years before I moved to that apartment that got raided. And when I came back, a friend of mine that stays on, I don't even like giving the address, because 2 of the places that I've stayed at, the police have wound up raiding those residences again.
Really?
Yeah, so I hate disclosing my information other than when they can look it up themselves on the Secretary of State website. Yeah, it's not even so much so as the one that can't make up my mind. It's trying to get the opportunity to actually fight for people, because it's not. I hate to seem like I'm being bitter, but we have privileged people in office who don't speak up, like I said, for the masses of people that are living in impoverished situations. And so that's where I have a problem with.
What are some of the things if you were to win this seat? It's obviously a historic seat being held by the late John Walker. What are some of the things that you would like to see done? What is your agenda for that seat?
My agenda, and the scary thing is to say that even if I won to know, because I'm running as an independent, and I caught so much hell from trying to run and I struggled with that of even running as a Democrat in the last election because I never identify with a party. I identify for people that are going to do the right thing for people. And so being in that House seat, I would have to motivate 50 other people to agree with me if I actually wanted to pass any type of legislation. And I know that's going to be hard, especially when Democrats don't like me and Republicans don't like me. But anything that's the will of the people, if I have to go about getting the required signatures every time to amend whatever law or whatever constitutional amendment I have to make, then I'll go about doing it. I think in that district, man, I'm actually, and I shout out to Mr. Simmons, Mr. Smith Simmons. He's been such played a vocal part in helping me to realize a lot of things that I want to do, but that need to be done in that district. I mean, bringing that community is black, real black, and so to bring about economic growth to that community. Bring back a sense of pride and appreciation in that community from the people that are within that community. Because, I've already been out walking, knocking on doors, asking questions, and finding out what are the interests of the people in that district and what problems that they have. So,
What are they saying? When you're out canvassing as politicians call it,
yeah.
what are the people in District 34 talking about? What are their concerns?
The abandoned houses in the community for the most, it's a bunch of old rundown houses that basically are just there. That code enforcement, some of them have even placed code enforcement have placed, the red signs on the door that the place need to be knocked down, but they haven't. The kids in the community having something else for them to do. There's been a lot of shootings lately in that area. And with Central High being in that area, the Little Rock School District, that fight that they're having with that district also, and just job opportunities. I mean, it's a lot of kids, and I became familiar with quite a bit of them in that area that just don't have anything to do outside of school. I have a plight myself with I'm on board with LRSD, with what they're fighting for, but then I think a lot of people don't put forth the attention towards what after school. Like when I was a kid, we went to school. Education is very important, but then what about the kids' lives after school? What are they going home to? The environment that they're going home to, and that's where their school to prison pipeline becomes. Basically a fundamental thing that's going on within that, not even just that district, but within the state in its entirety. So I just feel like bridging that generational gap between the people in that community. There's a bunch of people that have been in that community a long, long time, that have lived their entire life, who the youth don't have a sense of respect for or an appreciation for. And I can't think of her name, whose house just got shot up a couple of weeks ago. I can't even remember her name off the top of my head, but for her to be in her home and bullets flying into her home and there's no activity going on around her home that she would have to be in fear of her life for. I just think there's just a lack of opportunity in that district for the people in that district to continue to bring about economic growth there.
If you could create change in that district right now, what would be the first thing you'd do?
First thing I would do. First thing I would do. I think The first thing I would do in that district, if I had the opportunity to create any change, would be, man, I don't even know where to start, honestly, because I don't even know where to start. Oh, okay, I do know where to start. In that area there, especially on Asher, the homeless shelters that are there. Those houses that I was speaking of that need to be demolished. My first thing would be to create some equal housing opportunities there, to provide people a place to stay there, to grow there. 'Cause, I mean, it's hard to take pride in your community when you walk out the door and there's nothing to be prideful about outside of just your yard. If your house and your yard is up to par, I would create some equal housing opportunity for the homeless people in that district. I think that would be my first move. And then with the children, I mean, there are resources for them or places for them to go for the most part, but I think we don't listen. We haven't listened to what the kids truly need themselves for their district. And so whatever the people would request of me to do, I would fight in any way possible. I said whether it be to try to get bipartisan help, or whether it be to go about it just having to go county to county to get enough signatures so that I could push forward whatever initiatives or whatever laws need to be pushed to create some opportunity there in that district.
You know, you're going to be running as an independent.
Yes, sir.
As you stated earlier. There are Republicans and Democrats. They band together when they feel like they're being threatened. How do you plan to work with them in order to get some of your initiatives passed?
It sounds crazy, but hopefully I would try to offer some. I don't even know. That's a tough question, because I mean, to think that they care more so about what the people want. Like I said, it seems like a lot of things will be changed now, up to date. So.
Well, they don't care what the people want. That's pretty clear.
Exactly.
And anybody that's an independent, they're going to run interference, because let's say for instance you win.
Yes, sir.
You get in the office and you begin to become successful in getting legislation passed. Then what that does for others is say, hey, look, Roderick Talley is an independent. Let me go independent, and then they start losing their footing here in the state.
Yes,
so that's why I asked you that question, because that's going to be a tough road to hoe as it relates to trying to get things done, because it's clear that the Democrat or the Republican Party really doesn't care about black people one way or the other.
Yes, sir.
I'm just being real.
Yeah, that's honest. That's honest.
So that potentially could be a problem, and how will you address that? Because there are people just like me saying, well, I want to vote for Roderick, but he's going to be an independent. He's still not going to get much done because everybody's going to be against him.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on that?
Giving the people that option. That's why I said, as I was saying earlier, about filing these initiative petitions to amend the Constitution. I said the people don't have a say-so in what go on. One of the quotes, Alan Moore, people shouldn't be afraid of the government. Government should be afraid of the people. And so if I can't get the Republicans or the Democrats to get on board, then I just have to, I don't mind. I'm doing this. I don't even get paid for this. So I'm just trying to figure out how General Assembly people who are getting paid $40,000 plus don't put forth the money to outsource people that'll work to get signatures for them. There's college campuses full of people that can get registered to vote, to get signatures, and give the people a say-so. If I can't push the legislation through by doing it in the House, then I'll just go out and get the signatures. I don't have I'm not tied down to some of the things that the other candidates who are running may have. I don't have, I'm a father, but my son isn't here. So I don't have that obligation of having to go home every day and cater to my child, in the sense of being able to go out and spend 6-7 hours gathering signatures, so that my petition, or the petition of the people, the will of the people, can get done. I kind of am prideful of the fact that I am an independent, and the fact that, like I said, Arkansas allows you to find an alternate way to get things done, as opposed to counting on the government that that we relied on, I think that they would be more open and more inclined to work with me if I can get this amendment passed to where citizens have the right to recall them and remove them from their seats, because it holds a sense of accountability. If you're not going to do what's right for us, then we're going to find somebody else that will. So I hope I push more people to run as an independent and not align themselves with a party.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, this party thing has really gotten on my nerves, and I've been saying for decades. I've been an independent probably since I've been about 25.
Yes, sir.
Because I've never believed that there is not as diverse as people are in America, to tell me that we all fall either in Democrat or Republican just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense at all. My thing is that it ought to be 10, 12 different parties.
Yes, sir.
As far as I'm concerned, because there are different perspectives that we can look at. So as we move forward here, there's a lot of things that needs to be done here in Little Rock and Arkansas proper. You mentioned the schools earlier. What is your take on the school system here in Little Rock?
Oh man, I think it's a tragedy what they're doing to the public school system. I grew up in public school. At one point I did go to private school, and that's only because one of my public school teachers suggested it, because I was a little more advanced than the rest of the kids in the classroom, and she felt like I wouldn't get the proper education that I needed. So she recommended me going to private school, and they paid for me to go. But it's almost I'm on both sides of it, because on one side it's like, okay, it's wrong what they're doing. But then on the other side is like, well, if they're going to remove certain kids from the school district, and the school district already isn't teaching an education that pushes Black history, that informs the people of the history or the knowledge, or doesn't educate them properly. I've been to Central. Central is, even by the students' account, it's a lot of students there, and there's almost not an adequate amount of teachers, and that aren't getting paid the proper amount to teach those kids. So I mean, in one breath, it's almost like it's the way that they're going about it, I think, is wrong. But if I'm a parent and I want my child to get the best education possible, and even though charter schools are failing also, I would want my child to be afforded the best education possible. And if there's an opportunity for my child to be afforded to go to school and get a better education somewhere, then I'm for my child having the best education possible.
Well, definitely. In fact, next hour I'm going to talk about what's going on in New Orleans right now,
Yes,
which
sir.
is headed to Little Rock. But I don't know if you've seen the article, but half of the charter schools in New Orleans are failing D and F schools. So the argument that charter schools is the panacea to public education, that's been debunked over and over and over again. Right. But I digress. I'll talk about that next hour. So as we move forward, Little Rock has a lot of problems. Certainly the school system is one of them. Economic development, you touched on that a little bit. But I think if we're going to do something to at least limit some of the crime that is going on, we've got to come up with some type of economic development plan.
Yes, sir.
Have you thought about that? What would you do? What type of economic development would you like to see? What areas in that particular district 34, would you like to see economic development arise?
I think that my first thing is, as I said earlier, with the tax initiative that I wanted to file. I think a lot of the income, those that that are working, or even though the elderly that are on Social Security, people that have forms of income that are taxed, whether it be state tax or state income tax on their personal income. I think it could start there. If we remove state taxes, because I mean, you say someone working minimum wage, trying to take care of a family or two, most of their money goes on the bare necessities just to bring into the house, and provided that and the taxes that are put on the goods that they have to buy to bring home, just the basic necessities, food and clothes, food and those type of things. We can remove those taxes, remove the state income tax, because it seems like in Arkansas, the that's all they do is raise the tax. We have like among the highest tax in the nation. That's because it includes the state tax, the county tax, and the city tax. And it's in places like Camden. I think it's like the 11.5% tax. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And gold. Is Gould or
Gould.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has the highest tax in the nation itself. A city in Arkansas has the highest tax in the nation. So I think economic opportunities, you have to at least put the money into people's pockets in order for them to create, whether it's small businesses or even to support other local black businesses that are already there in their district. So, I mean, man, you ride through their district. I mean, and Goodfellas Barber College is there, which creates an opportunity for young guys to be, or whatever age, allows young men and women to become entrepreneurs and bosses of their own caliber. And then you have a state legislator that attacks that to say, well, if you got a felony, we're not going to allow you to be able to become a barber. So if given the chance to create any economic opportunity, it would definitely be right there on 12th Street and right there on Asher, because I mean there's a lot of traffic through those areas that a business. I know there's a the barber college and that beauty supply shop right there that gets most of the traffic right there, but there's an opportunity to have so much more outside of that prison being basically the root of what's on Roosevelt Street right there.
Well, you look at that corridor, and we've got a few minutes to go before that corridor of Asher. It is the second busiest thoroughfare in the city. 25,000 plus cars drive up and down that street every day. Every day. Yet there's no economic development in that area whatsoever. And it's ironic because this morning I was driving down Asher, and I started at University and Colonel Glenn and started moving east. And when you get past UALR, there's literally, I know there are a couple of shops, but I was just thinking out loud to myself, imagine the real estate of some of those rundown car buildings and stuff like that are there that could be transformed into something that could make that corridor a nice place to go. And it just seems to me that the initiative has not been there whatsoever. We got a few minutes to go. Before we wrap up, what are some of the other things you'd like to address? I want to make sure you get all of that in, and I want to thank you for coming in today as well.
I mean, more than anything, something I'm always going to be passionate about, the criminal justice system and the way that it's shaped. As Amendment 21 stands, prosecutors have the right to, or any person can be prosecuted by either a grand jury indictment or by filed by a prosecutor. Basically, if the prosecutor says we want to move forward, they have their right without getting the say-so of a grand jury. So I think criminal justice reform still is one of the main things, because even if you get the kids good public schools, if they're going home to broken homes where fathers are missing, because I mean, kids need a role model in the sense of a father in a home. But if you're not giving people the opportunity to be employed and hold down a household, and they find other ways to try to bring money in, and then you remove the fathers or sometimes the mothers from the household, then there's a complete breakdown in the system altogether. And this prison and criminal justice system is profitable, and then the fact that they're privatizing, bringing in these trying to privatize it even more, is it just goes to show you that we're not going anywhere forward. No. We're continuing to go backwards, and as long as they're going to make money from the backs of people like us, then we have to find an alternative to it.
Well, we definitely need legislators, elected officials, public officials, preachers, teachers, whatever, to bring that to the forefront, because I think the criminal justice thing, and that when I was reading this, the law of 1669, it's pretty clear things that were going on then are still going on now,
Yes, sir.
and we need legislators who are going to get in there and be willing to fight. And sometimes it's not going to be easy.
Nah,
It's not going to be, everybody ain't going to like you.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
And a lot of people tend not to understand that. Sometimes, leadership is doing the right thing when it makes others uncomfortable.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And what we found and what we're seeing in America, even here in Arkansas, Little Rock proper, is that everybody wants to go along just to get along.
Yes, sir.
And nobody is getting anything in this city.
No, sir.
Okay? And it continues to spiral out of control. And the only suggestion that people have is we need more law enforcement. But my argument is, and it's just not me, but it's been studied and shown that you give people opportunity, then your crime will go down. We just need people who are willing to create opportunity in this city.
Yes, sir.
And we also need people in the legislature who's willing to fight this governor or the Republican Party for things that they're doing against. So you talked about taxes. Well, part of the taxes that they're raising is going to the top 10% in Arkansas. And Arkansas is one of the poorest states in the country.
Yes, sir.
Yet you had a governor who passed a tax for rich Republicans. So those are things that people need to address. We got to get out of here, but any closing remarks before?
To anybody listening, I will be coming around with these petitions. You don't have to like me. You don't even have to be supportive of me, but be supportive of what is needed for the people to be successful. I had a lot of people to switch up, change up, and that doesn't bother me. It's just more motivation. I just want you to keep that same energy, barring I win this election, because I'm here to fight for the people. And if favoritism is shown because of who a person is or what accolades that they have, then and that shouldn't qualify a person to be the best person to lead people or that'll fight for people. Like you said, Mr. Coleman, don't go along just to get along. Do what's right, even if it means standing alone.
All right, that's Roderick Talley. He's running for District 34, the seat that was left vacant after the death of the late, great John Walker. We'll be having more candidates on as we go through. We've already had a couple on. We've had Mr. Davis. We've had Joy Springer on. And tonight at the Willie Hinton Center, I want to make sure that everybody gets out. Look, folks, this is really what it boils down to. If you want change, then you've got to participate in change. It's not going to come to you. It's not going to just happen by osmosis. You've got to get active. This is so very important that we get active. And, I've said it over and over again on this show. Aren't you tired of the status quo? Aren't you tired of electing people and they're getting in the office and doing the same old, same old? Maybe it's time to think differently. It's time to not think outside the box. It's just simply time to think outside. We'll take the top of the hour break. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, man. Appreciate it, man.
It's crazy because I caught so much help from the Democratic Party, from them giving me the wrong information, to them helping Philip Hood with his campaign. I said, man, even before this election, man, just because I'm still being pushed by people to say, if you don't run as a Democrat, you ain't gonna have a chance. And I'm just like, I didn't want to do it last time, but I was like, black people don't vote Democratic, whatever. But then I found out, it's way more to it than just that.
Oh yeah.
With Denise Ely being in there, that taught me a lot. As much as people gave hell about Darryl Stevens taught me a lot about how this game is. I just don't care to be affiliated with no party. I reached out to them people before this election, and them people didn't email me back. Had nothing to say to me. So.
Well, that's what, again, they own at the end of the day, a left wing and a right wing is part of the same bird.
Yes, sir.
they get upset with me because of my stance. I don't support the Democratic Party. I don't support the Republican Party. I support the candidate that's going to do the best, in my opinion. That's just me. Unfortunately, it just seems right now Democrats are trying to get stuff done, but this whole system is screwed up.
But how can that's what,
And I want to
I'll let you go, but it's kind of like Democrats come along and try to cater to any needs that people say that they have when they're the ones that initiated the problem from the omnibus crime bill to the what is it, the drug abuse act to
Well, I mean, you look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden was one of the main people who voted for the crime bill,
yeah.
and now Democrats are following him hook, line, and sinker. But again,
I still ain't got a picture with Bill Clinton. I don't want one. I said the Safe Streets Act, everything that was to basically attack black people were introduced by Democrats. I mean, even though I may have been a Republican that signed it, but they were all pushed by Democrats. I said, man, this is money. Everybody got something to gain from winning these seats.
Exactly. But all right, man, appreciate it. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Keep in touch. Are you gonna go to the forum tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. They told me I couldn't.
They ain't gonna let you on stage, but you need to be there if you're gonna be. Yeah, you need to be there. Yeah, I would go. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I definitely be there to see what they got for everybody saying.
All right, man. I'll probably see you tonight.
Okay.
Takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial policies, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are a few of the services we offer. Mitchell Funeral Home, Philadelphia, 870-246-2611. Mitchell Funeral Home. Quality you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
You got it. He's Roderick's answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the show. Dave Coleman in Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. I was giving you the sports show, noon to 2 p.m. right here on joinnedradio.com. I want to thank Roderick Talley for coming in. Of course, we are reviewing and interviewing all of the candidates for District 34, the seat left vacant by the untimely death of John Walker. And Roderick is running as an independent. And look, I'm going to be honest with you, all black people ought to be independents. That's just me. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm not saying I support Roderick Talley one way or the other. I'm just saying, in general, I think black people ought to be independents. Okay? They need to be coming to us and figuring out how they can get our vote. And when they don't do what we ask them to do, the next time around, they don't get our votes. We need to get over this Democrat and Republican crap, because at the end of the day, both of them are the same. That's just how I feel about it. All right? The crime bill, that was designed for black people. Okay, let's be realistic about that. These laws are designed for black people. So, we need to make sure that we are pressing the flesh and making sure that these people who are asking for our votes are giving us what we need. And right there, they aren't. And that's just not here in Little Rock, but that's across this country. And I have a lot of Democratic friends. I have a lot of Republican friends. But at the end of the day, this country would be better suited if we had 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 parties. It would be better suited. Look, we are not a monolith, okay? Everybody is not right wing and everybody is not left wing. This country is more center driven than it is on the extremes. So why are we allowing two parties to dictate how we view politically, how we look at things politically? Why are we doing that? The joke is on us, really, to be totally honest, folks. The joke is on the American people because they're laughing at us. They really are. They're laughing at us because while they laugh all the way to the bank, we're sitting out here in the public fighting against one another. Oh, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you said this, you said that. And they're doing nothing but getting fatter and fatter off of the taxpayers. This is why you hear me say all the time that every one of them need to be ran out of office. I don't care if you're black, white, polka dot. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. If you've been in the office for more than 2 terms and this is what you have to offer the American people, you should not be in office. I don't care if it's local, state, national. Doesn't matter. This needs to change. What is happening in America right now is ridiculous. We're fighting the same old wars over and over again. And as you look at what's going on with this Republican Party right now, with this president, then you've got to ask yourself the question, what the hell is going on here? How stupid are people going to continue to be? Because what they're doing is playing on your ignorance. They're pitting the poor people, black, white, and whoever against one another, immigrants against other people, while they're laughing all the way to the bank. That's what the Republican Party has been doing. This is why they are so embedded with Donald Trump. The Republican Party has been doing this for years. That was the Southern Strategy by Lee Atwater. They started this back in the 70s. What we're seeing now is the fruition of all of that dissension that the Republican Party has sown to their white racist supporters. Y'all remember when the Tea Party came about, right? And everybody said, oh, well, those people were just about, they were concerned about their jobs. No, they weren't. I said then on this show, and I'll say it again now, that the Tea Party was racist. It was a racist movement. But what happened? Y'all sat back and let it happen. You all allowed the media to lie to you. And now look what we have. People, the government is you. If you want to change it, you got to participate in it. You got to get out and vote. You got to vote strategically. You have to do that, folks. 855-525-5683 is the number. Speaking of which, voting strategically. Okay? So here is an article that came up today, and I was looking for a date, but it's not dated, but it's from the Root. It says, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I've been called to be the next governor of Arkansas. Now, I want to know who the hell called you. Who called you? Sarah Huckabee Sanders is probably the most lying, other than Donald Trump, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is one of the most lying people I have ever witnessed. She publicly lied to the American people every day that she was part of this administration. Every day. Now, why would Arkansans want this woman to be governor of Arkansas? Can you tell me that? What credentials does Sarah Huckabee Sanders have to be governor of Arkansas? What credentials did Sarah Huckabee Sanders have to even be in the Trump administration, other than some nepotism from her dad, who is a nut? I'm still fascinated that I wasn't here, thank goodness. I'm still fascinated that Arkansas voted Huckabee as the governor. We figured out now that he's a nutbag. He and the Sanders have made Arkansas a laughingstock. And y'all want to vote her for governor? And she's been called? Aren't y'all over these people telling you that they are called by God? This is the same argument they did for slavery. This is the same argument they did for the black codes and Jim Crow and segregation, that it was God's will, it was God's work. They lied to you then, and they're lying to you now, and you all are buying it hook, line, and sinker. The reason you get dogged is because you refuse to wake up. The reason they're dogging you is because you refuse to work up. You've allowed them to say, all I got to do, and look, no offense, but here's a classic example of how gullible some of you are. I'm going to say one name, Kanye West. All I got to do, look, right now, I'm going to be honest with you. If I really wanted to curry favor and sucker some people, you know what I could do right now? I could proclaim right now that I'm a born-again Christian. And all I got to do is start quoting Bible verses. And many of you all out there would follow me hook, line, and sinker. Without question. That's exactly what they want you to do. If you believe in God, God gave you the mind to think for yourself. God gave you the mind to extrapolate information that is presented to you in a common way. But y'all don't use your minds. All I got to do is say, hey, I'm a Christian. They got y'all believing right now that Donald Trump is a Christian. Are y'all serious? And evangelicals are voting for Donald Trump left and right. Are y'all serious? You get what you give. And if you're not out there participating in the process, if you're not out there trying to make change, then this is why we end up with what we end up with, folks. This is why we end up with dirty cops. This is why we end up with dirty politicians. This is why we end up with governors giving tax breaks to people who don't make them and then jailing people because they can't afford to pay for rent. Did you know right now, if you make minimum wage in this country, if you just worked a minimum wage job, did you know in the majority of the cities across the nation, you cannot pay rent? If you worked a 40-hour-a-week minimum wage job, did you know you would not be able to afford rent? Yet here in the state of Arkansas, they literally have no rental laws. Your landlord can come tomorrow if you're renting and throw you out. That's because they've been bought off by the real estate lobby. All of your politicians have been bought. And y'all think it's okay. And what annoys me about people is that y'all throw your hands up and think you can't do anything about it. That's a lie. That's why they don't teach you civics. That's why they don't teach you history, because if they teach you things like that, those are the tools that you can use to make change. Some of y'all don't even know how a bill comes to law. But then all I got to do is say, oh, he's for abortion, and you hate him. It fascinates me how people are always concerned about abortion, yet they're not concerned about kids that are already here. That makes no sense to me, folks. We are the problem here. We are the ones who are allowing them to do this to us. We are. And until you get active, right here in Little Rock, the reason they took your schools is because you weren't active. And people can say, well, we're going to blame the teachers, we're going to blame LREA. No, blame your damn self. What have you done to solve the problem? Oh, well, I got to work. You know, here's the one thing I know about people and the Creator, whether you call him God or Allah, a Buddha. is that whomever created us gave us the capacity to do more than one thing at a time. He gave us the capacity to be able to think about tons of things. In fact, only 10% of our brain is used in our lifetime. But you've been brainwashed to believe that you can only be one-centered. You can only focus on one thing at a time. That's what they want you to believe, folks. It's up to you, man. It's up to each and every one of you who are listening to this show today. Y'all need to start talking to one another and saying, hey, look, this is not going to work. If this guy's not doing what we need to do, forget voting for him because they're your friend. Forget voting for them because they went to high school with you. Forget voting for them because they're in your party. What are they going to do? And not just what they're going to do, what have they done? Michael Bloomberg just said, hey, I'm going to run for president. I don't need y'all money. I'm a billionaire. I have, $52 billion. I'm going to pay for my own campaign. Now, what billionaire, tell me, what billionaire out there really gives a damn about little po folks like you and I? Michael Bloomberg is the same person who came up with the racist policy of stop and frisk. He's the very same person. Now he wants to run for president, and then, of course, he wants to run to a black church and say, oh, I made a mistake. You are responsible for young men and women being killed, Michael Bloomberg. You are responsible for young men and women being beat up by police. You are responsible for young men and women, innocent young men and women, to be accosted and their constitutional rights being destroyed. And now you want to run for president? And some of y'all are like, yeah, Bloomberg, just like y'all did with Trump, right? They live on your ignorance. Because y'all won't read. Y'all won't vote. Y'all allow rappers to determine what y'all do every day. I saw more posts on my Facebook wall about T.I. and his daughter than I did about the impeachment. Y'all more concerned about T.I. and his daughter than this president selling this country down the river. The enemy is us, folks. Don't get mad at politicians. You know what? If I can steal from your house and you never stop me, I'm going to steal from your house. If I could walk into Kroger right now and walk out with all of my Thanksgiving fixings today and not pay a penny, I'd do it. But you know why I won't do it? Because Kroger's will stop me. Y'all need to start thinking about that. You're right, Russ. And the mayor took him to lunch at Sims. There is nothing Michael Bloomberg can do for me. Look, let me tell you the people that you ought to be voting for. Did they grow up in your neighborhood? Did they go to public schools? Okay. Do they have a diverse friendship with people of different races and ethnicities? Those are the people you ought to be voting for. Now, I'm not trying to dog anybody who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. But at the end of the day, they don't give a damn about us. Michael Bloomberg doesn't give a damn about us. Donald Trump has proven he don't give a damn about y'all. And some of y'all still loving him to death, licking his boots. This man will run the country in the ground for his own self-aggrandizement. And y'all call him a Christian. What's wrong with us? See, that's what they're feeding on. That's what they're talking about when they laugh at you. It's time to wake up, folks. It is. Donald Trump is no more called to be a Christian than anyone else. And you say, well, Dave, you shouldn't be judging anybody's faith. Yeah, I can judge your faith because I can judge you based on what you do. Just like Rick Perry this morning, I saw an interview. This idiot, he claims that Donald Trump was ordained by God. Really? Donald Trump ordained by God. Really? What in the world are y'all thinking? And you know what Christians are doing? White ones and black ones. Oh, he's right. Oh, he sent us God. Oh, he got Supreme Court justices in to try to fight abortion. You don't give a damn about abortion. You don't care about kids being killed. Because if you did, you would be concerned about America dropping bombs in Afghanistan and Iraq and killing women and children. You would be concerned about Israel dropping bombs on the Palestinians. Did you see the picture over the weekend where the Palestinian fathers were holding there were 4 fathers, and they were holding their 4 killed, dead babies after Israelis over the weekend had dropped bombs in Gaza? You don't give a damn about kids. You know why I know you don't give a damn about kids? I can point to every city in America. And there are kids who are hungry. There are kids who can't even eat every day. As a matter of fact, I read a story the other day where this school district, I want to say somewhere in North Carolina, is staying open during Thanksgiving so kids can eat during the Thanksgiving break. Y'all don't care about these kids, and you want to run around and claim Christianity. You want to run around and talk about how much you love God. You're locking people up for false pretenses. Read the story of the man who has been in prison for over 15 years and could be exonerated by DNA. Could be, not saying he will be, but the state even refuses to test the DNA. Is that Christian? I'm just asking. And y'all paying $500 to go to a church service. Putting money in Kanye West's pocket. Because he all of a sudden has proclaimed Christianity. Snoop Dogg smokes more dope than anybody, yet he got a gospel song and everybody talking about how great it is. I'm sorry, look, this don't make any sense to me. This country is supposed to be for the people and governed by the people. But the people have allowed politicians to trump them. No pun intended. Makes no sense. Rick Perry, Donald Trump is ordained by God. What God? What God locks up children in cages? What God allows children to be raped? What God are you worshiping? Rick Perry? What God allows guns to be rampant in a country where children are killed on a regular basis every day? I'm just asking. Because you all need to start asking these questions. Because, see, here's what they do. Here's what the politicians do. The first thing they do is, well, I'm a Christian. Well, you know, last I heard, Christianity is an act. It's not a statement. You live by Christianity every day. I'm not trying to preach to you, but I'm tired of these politicians mixing church and state. Because Rick Perry is not a Christian. Donald Trump is not a Christian. All I got to do is look. By the way, remember Rick Perry? If he were a Christian while he was governor of Texas, how many people did Rick Perry put to death? And then Rick Perry put a guy to death who many believed that he was innocent, but Rick Perry refused to commensurate a sentence. He ain't no Christian. They lie to you. They're lying to you so they can pad their pockets. They don't give a damn about you one way or the other. They care about their own little fiefdom. That's why they're tripping right now, because this country is about to go brown. All of a sudden, they don't know what to do. They're panicking. This is still going on. I posted another article this morning about how redlining continues to happen in the black community. This is 2019. If they were Christian, racism would not exist in America today. At least not on the scale that it does. You would see racists and you look at them like, whoa, what's wrong with him? What century is he from? In fact, they would be so embarrassed that they wouldn't show their ugly faces. If you were Christian. If white churches were doing what they were supposed to do. This is why I call them the Christian Taliban. Because they're no different than the Taliban. They want it the way they want it. And if you don't follow what we say, then we're going to ostracize you. And we're even willing to kill you. The Christian Taliban in America, otherwise known as evangelicals. Don't care if you get mad at me. We, the people, have got to stand up. We, the people, have got to say, hey, we've had enough of this. No. If you want to go over there and worship rocks in that corner, you go right ahead. But when you come out of that corner, you're going to treat everybody with respect and dignity. Everybody is created equal. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. Don't matter where you came from. Don't really matter how much money you have. But we get enamored because somebody makes some money and all of a sudden you think they're a leader. I've told y'all that over and over again. Stop worshiping these people because they make money and all of a sudden they want to claim they're leaders now. Bloomberg, Donald Trump, some of these black rappers all of a sudden who have found themselves. They've made money off of misery, and now they want you to, they're no better than Donald Trump. They've made money off of misery, and now they want you to worship them. Hey, look, I've got millions of dollars. Worship me now. Oh, I'll give out some turkeys. If these black leaders were so great, all of this money, why aren't they going to one another and saying, hey, man, let's pool our money together and let's empower some other black people to come up? Because after all, we got to come up on their backs. I'm just saying, folks. I'm tired. I mean, y'all know by now, I'm tired of this craziness. I'm tired of this stupidity. Speaking of Christians, here's an article. KKK leader, we're a Christian organization. The Ku Klux Klan is saying they're a Christian organization. You know what that means? Is that if in fact they allow that to happen, then they can get nonprofit status. That means that they can get tax breaks. They can get grants from your tax dollars. That's stupid, man. Just because I can read the Bible to you and quote it to you, it doesn't mean that I have your goodness at heart. We have to understand that. We should challenge everybody and everything. And see, people are going to call you a troublemaker. People are not going to like you. People are going to try to find dirt on you. But what if everybody started asking questions about politics? Tonight, when you go to this forum at Willie Hinton, I hope y'all are not going to sit there and twiddle your thumbs. I hope y'all are going to ask some questions. I hope y'all are going to make them answer some questions. Will you? Stop allowing things to happen to you. Stop being reactive and start being proactive. That's what you got to start doing. That's what we got to start doing in our community. We wait till things happen and then say, oh, the dam is broke. Let's go build a boat. Instead of saying, hey, that dam is about to break. Let's get some boats built so when it breaks, we can rescue our people. That's all I'm saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. I want to go, because I've got a lot of cop stories that I'm going to talk about in the rest of the show, but I want to cover a couple of other things too before I get out of it. Let me just make sure. So check this out. This is dated November 25th, 2019. Police in Alabama set up and falsely arrested over 1,000 black men. Innocent black men. What y'all gonna do about that? That's one story. It just goes on and on and on. Stephen Miller's white supremacist is no surprise, but it raises the stakes on the impeachment in 2020. Stephen Miller's in the White House. He's a white supremacist. We know that. What y'all gonna do about it? Y'all gonna sit around and say, oh, well, you know, they gonna do what they gonna do. Ain't nothing we can do about it. That's exactly what they want you to say. They want you to throw your hands up and feel helpless. That's exactly what they want you to say. Ain't nothing we can do about it. If you feel that way, then they're going to continue to run over you. And that's what's happening across America. It's just not white, it's black as well. Because, see, they pitted poor black people and poor white people against one another. Not understanding that we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. And what I would advise black people to do, look, at this point in time in America, I mean, man, I can't imagine where I would be had I had the internet when I was growing up. Because as much as I read, as much as I was just a curious person. There is no reason that you should be not aware of what's going on in this country. There is no reason why you don't understand politics. There is no reason why you should not be teaching your children black history on a regular basis. There is no reason why black people should be in the financial straits that we are as a people. But a lot of it is because we refuse to go out and do the research. We're so used to people telling us what to do that when someone comes different, you attack them. We're so jaded by Christianity, while white people are using Christianity for their benefit, not their Christian benefit, but for their financial benefit. And we suffering in our communities. We're suffering in our communities. We need to wake up. 855-525-5683 is the number. Now, I mentioned something about we need to do something about police. And I know a lot of people listening might say, well, you're anti-police. No, I'm not anti-police. I think we need police when they are doing what they're supposed to do. But what we found out is police, for whatever reasons, thinks that they are a chosen class of people. So here's an article from San Francisco. In a private Facebook group, California police brag about breaking state law to help ICE. This is what happens when you have a group of people who think they're privileged. See your president. I can do whatever I want to do. The law doesn't affect me. None. Someone asked what Christian denominations have come out and denounced the KKK. Not many. Have not heard them. They don't. I don't care if y'all are getting mad. At some point, y'all got to wake up and say, hey, look, what is going on in this country is wrong. It is backwards. It has nothing, it has everything to do with, this is rich versus poor. And what they do is that they pit the poor people against one another. And while you all are fighting each other, they're laughing all the way to the bank. See attorneys, see your states, see the private prison industry. Did you know, I know you know, we talk about it all the time, did you know that many state legislators who have private prisons have negotiated with these companies that they must guarantee a 97% occupancy rate? Do y'all understand that? That means that your state legislators have negotiated with private businesses to make sure that their private prisons stay open and filled. Now, how do they do that? They pass stupid laws. And that state legislator is laughing all the way to the bank. Go out and research the judge in Pennsylvania who was indicted and sent to jail because he was literally selling kids to the private prison industry in Pennsylvania. You think that's the only state that does that? And y'all throw your hands up so, well, we can't do nothing about it. Yes, you can. Take your ass to the polls. Challenge these people. Make them accountable. Make them answer questions. If you go to this forum tonight or any political forum and you ask a question and they don't answer it, demand an answer. Did you see Lindsey Graham last week when the veteran walked up to him and told him what was going on and how they disrespected Colonel Vittman, who had given his life, served his entire life for the United States of America, and instead of Lindsey Graham talking to this veteran, he walks off? I don't give a damn about y'all, man. And they got y'all in a boat. Y'all Republicans, so no matter what I do, y'all gonna believe me. Y'all Democrat, so no matter what I do, y'all gonna believe me. Man, they got y'all hook, line, and sinker, man. They don't like shows like this. They don't like people telling you to become independent. Develop an independent thought process. Because, see, they've sold out for 30 pieces of silver. That's what Stephen A. Smith was all about. See, he done sold out for 30 pieces of silver. He don't care. Look, as great as Muhammad Ali is, Stephen A. Smith would hate Muhammad Ali today. And many of y'all would too. Man, why y'all doing? Why are you doing that, man? Why are you doing that? You know, if you just go and do what they say, it'll work out. It's ridiculous. We allow police to abuse our rights, and no one says anything about it. We allow police to kill us wantonly, and oftentimes these police don't even go to jail. I mean, it's sad, man. It's to the point now when I see some of these stories about police, I just bypass them because I just don't want to read them. It's terrible. It's terrible. Now, before I get out of here, we got a few more minutes to go on the show. I want to talk about a little bit about charter schools as a whole, and specifically about what's happening here in Little Rock. And when I say as a whole, because it's important for us to understand is where this new school movement came from. It came from white flight. We've talked about it a lot. Okay? White people don't want their kids going to school with black people. In fact, particularly white men don't want their white daughters sitting next to white males because those white daughters might start liking them black males. See the police who was just convicted last week for killing a black male because his daughter was dating him. See, that's an age-old racist thing. That's an age-old racist trope, is that the innocence of the white woman, that's age-old. So as we continue this process and look at what's going on, and hopefully tomorrow we'll talk to Mike Poore, because, there's a lawsuit that has been filed in the state of Arkansas that's dealing with the prison to pipeline from schools. They know by fourth grade whether or not your child is going to be successful or whether or not he's going to end up in prison. That's why they're continually building prisons. Right now in the state of Tennessee, I'm following this story because their juvenile justice system is a mess. Is a mess. And 10 years ago when I was working in that system, I asked the question, what are y'all doing to rehab these young brothers and sisters? Nothing. You know why they weren't rehabbing them? Because their juvenile system was private prison. It was owned by Wackenhut at the time. So if I'm Wackenhut, I run the juvenile justice system and I also run the prison system. Why would I rehab kids coming through the juvenile justice system if in fact they're going to end up in my prison where I'm going to get $22,000 a year per inmate? You all don't get that, right? They're not interested in saving your children. They're interested in padding their pockets. If you think I'm lying, if you are concerned about saving children, why here in the state of Arkansas you spend close to $24,000 a year per inmate per year, and you only spend $9,000 per student? You tell me, where are your priorities? If you want to stop kids going to prison, then you have to start investing in them when they are children. This state is not interested in doing that. This country is not interested in doing that because some people like to say it's capitalism. Well, this is what capitalism does to you. It's about your politicians, folks. Your neighborhood is run down on purpose. See redlining. Police are a force in your community because it's on purpose. They don't want your neighborhood to be better. They want to arrest you. I heard a wonderful story this morning. Police pulled this guy over. He had expired tags. See, these are the stories that we ought to be hearing about by police, but we don't. This police pulled this black guy over. He had expired tags. The guy said, hey, look, man, I am sorry, but I had to drive today because I'm going to an interview. Police officer didn't believe him. So the police officer took the guy to the interview. It was at Federal Express for a full-time position. And you know what happened? The young man was, in fact, telling the truth. And he ended up getting the job at Federal Express. And the police officer didn't even write him a ticket. See, that's what we ought to be doing with our policing. But we passed laws that, hey, look, that young brother he had 3 expired tickets. He couldn't afford them. But our system is designed to make you poor. You know, I used to raise hell about the child support system because the first thing states knew to do is take a guy's driver's license. Well, that made a lot of sense, didn't it? You take his driver's license, you want him to pay child support, yet you give him no job training, you give him no support. You take his driver's license. Now he can't get to work. Now you want him to pay child support. But that's okay. We'll throw him in jail. And then we'll make his child support build up. Then we'll charge him court costs. Oh, by the way, he'll need to get an attorney if he wants to get out. So that attorney makes money. Y'all see how insidious this is? I'm just saying. But back to these school things. So in New Orleans, as of November 23rd, last week, nearly half of all New Orleans charter schools got a D or an F. Now, let me ask you a question, because this boggles my mind about this charter school thing. I'm a little confused, okay? If I'm driving down the street and there's a pothole, and every time I drive down that street, I hit that pothole and I warp my rim or I have a flat tire, how many more times am I going to drive down that street? I'm not going to drive down that street. Now, what's my point? We've seen evidence after evidence over the years that charter schools are failing. They have failed here in Little Rock proper. They have failed all across this country. Yet what sense does it make for us to continue to push this charter school mantra? You know, what sense it makes is that the people behind charter schools are multi-billionaires and millionaires who are looking to make money off of education. So they are what? They are padding the pockets of your politicians. Even though this is a failed issue, this is a failed system, charter schools do not work. But they continue to push it. And you all continue to think it's okay. They don't care about educating your children. If they cared about educating your children, they would invest money in educating your children. They wouldn't spend $24,000 for a jail inmate and just $9,000 for a student. You would tend to believe that would either be equal or vice versa. What would happen if we spent $24,000 per student in this country? We have the money. Don't say we don't have the money. We have the money. It's a matter of priorities. It's a matter of what the people want, but the people simply allow politicians to do what they want without checking them. And here we are right now in Little Rock, about to go into charter schools backed by Walmart, which many of you all are going to go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars this weekend for them to come and take over your schools and destroy your public school system. And more importantly, little black girls and little black boys are more apt to be disciplined and suspended. What are you going to do then? It's too late to go up and start complaining after that. I'm saying all this, folks, is because we need an awakening. It's not going to come from a politician. It's not going to come from a presidential candidate. Think about the Democrats that are running right now. If you've watched any of those debates, how many have really addressed issues that relates to black people? Yet y'all vote Democrat hook, line, and sinker. They don't even talk about black issues. And we know Republicans don't. I'm just asking for a friend, because I ain't trying to make y'all mad at me today because it's Thanksgiving. At some point, we as a community have got to stand up. We as a community have got to wake up. When that's going to happen, I don't know. I'm praying that it happens in my lifetime. I'd like to see it. I don't want to be old and senile and my grandkids come up to me and say, Paul, you said this was going to happen and I won't know what the hell's going on. I can't even go to the bathroom by myself. I'd like to see this. We do need a revolution. We need a people's revolution. We need a serious people's revolution. What would, I've had the dream that on election night, we woke up the next morning and all of the incumbents was put out. I've actually had that dream. Because the day that happens, all of a sudden, people take their government back. It shouldn't matter whether or not you're a representative, a Republican or Democrat. You ought to vote against them. Do you have the courage to do that? Look at what they've done for you thus far. Not much. That's how we change the system, folks. There are more poor middle-class people than there are rich people. How is it that 10% of the country is running 90% of the country? That's because we're allowing them to do it. We're allowing them to do it. At what point do we say, hey, we've had enough? You know what I'd love to see? The person that I would vote for, I'm going to this forum tonight. I hope you'll be there. The person that stands up and says, look, if you elect me to this position, and if I don't follow through with what I'm telling you I'm going to do, and here are my things that I'm planning to do, if I don't follow through with that, I will resign my position. How many of them would do that tonight? Not one of them. Not one of them. Because they're not really there for you. They're there for themselves. See, it takes courage to lead. It takes courage to lead. It takes more than flowery words. It takes more than proclaiming that you're a Christian. It takes courage. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. But if you really believe in yourself, then you need to stand up. And we need to make them. We need to make them. White son of police officer surrenders in shooting death of beloved black Alabama sheriff. I mean, I've got so many. This thing about police is ridiculous, man. These people should not be running this country the way they are. The listing goes on and on and on about police. Y'all ought to have had enough by now. I've had enough. I've been on this show for 5 years doing this. At what point do you get tired? At what point are you tired of your kids dying? At what point are you tired of drive-by shootings? At what point are you tired of politicians telling you that there's not enough money to fund schools when you can find money to fund everything else? At what point are you going to stop politicians from lying to you and proclaiming their Christianity when in fact they're nothing but a reincarnation of Satan? At what point? Because until you, each and every one of you individually say, I've had enough of this BS and we're going to change, and I'm going to start by today talking to my friends, it's not going to change. Our children are going to continue to die. Our neighborhoods are going to continue to look like bombed out Lebanon. Our children are going to be miseducated and undereducated. Our women are going to continue to be kidnapped and raped. Our adults are going to be shoveled into prisons so that big business can make money. And many of you, all you're going to do is say, hey, well, ain't nothing we can do about it. And that's exactly what they want. But it's Thanksgiving. Y'all can forget about that Thursday. But you know what? Somebody's going to die by Thursday. Somebody's going to be shot and killed by Thursday. A police officer is going to kill somebody by Thursday. Your rights are going to be violated by Thursday. But I know you don't care. You're just trying to get to the pecan pie. It's Black Focus Radio. That's how we do it. If you're new to the show, this is what we do every day. I know some of you all are off today, so I'm glad y'all joined me. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you'll continue to listen. We're serious up in here. We're serious about change. I want change for our people. It is important. We are the only ones can change it. We're sitting around as if we can't do nothing about our circumstances. That's a lie. That's a lie that they've told you. That's a lie that you believe in. If you don't think you can change your circumstances, the next time you have to go to the bathroom, don't go. Just sit there and pee on yourself. Just crap on yourself. That's a simple change. We do it every day unconsciously. When we got to go to the bathroom, we go. It's just that simple. We have to decide change is important and make change. And those people that are not willing to come along, they need to be voted out. I'm just saying. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. Tomorrow we are expecting to have Mike Poore on the show. We'll talk about his thoughts on, he's saying that parents in Little Rock don't care about local control. I'd like to know where he got those numbers from. And I'd also like to know, because he's named, and I don't know if he'll give me any comments, but he's named in this lawsuit about the prison to pipeline, the school to pipeline situation. He's named in this lawsuit. I wonder if he cares. Does it matter to public officials? Because, see, this data has been out there for years that by 4th grade, young black males are ending up in prison. Do they care? I'm going to surmise they don't, because if they did, they'd have done something about it. And you know what else? You don't care either, because you're not doing anything about it. We've got to go. I'm going to end with Malcolm X today as my quote. I hope y'all enjoyed as much as I enjoyed. This is the great Malcolm X. Thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow on Black Focus Radio.
I told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community, and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. And it is an honor, actually, that they endorsed Dr. Martin Luther King and were against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's actually an honor. Now, when you say that they also...
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joinetradio.com.